going on, guys? I'm Jack and welcome back to Project Race Car. In today's video we're going to be talking about the 5 best things about owning a Nissan Skyline R34. So in case you're new to the channel, this is my 2001 Nissan Skyline R34 GTT. It's pretty standard at the moment, so I'm not going to go too much into the spec details about it, because this is more a video about the experience of owning the car. I've had it for about 7 months now. So yeah, let's crack on and get onto the first point. So the first point, I think probably the most obvious one, is the sheer beauty of these cars. They are something else. And I've had the car 7 months and I'm not bored of looking at it at all. There's not much more to say. You guys know what this car is. You guys know what they look like. You know the culture behind them and everything they mean. So yeah, I'm not going to waffle on too much about that because you guys know it already. So without further ado, let's move on to the second best thing about owning a Nissan Skyline. So the second thing we're going to talk about, and again probably one of the most obvious ones, but it comes from this end rather than the front end. So that would be the sound. The RBs, the RB25s, 26s, all sound absolutely incredible. I'm not really sure what it is from a mechanical point of view. All I know is the noise that comes out of there is absolutely incredible, as I will now demonstrate. Seriously, how can you ever get bored of that? Like, it's just goals, isn't it? Like, absolutely incredible. So moving on from the first 2 reasons, I think it's about time that we went for a drive, don't you? So let's jump in the car and we'll talk in more detail about the remaining 3 reasons to why I think everybody should own one of these at some point. If you're thinking about buying one, go and do it. You won't be disappointed, trust me. Let's go jump in the car. So let's get into the slightly more interesting ones, or at least I think they're interesting anyway, or at least a bit different. So you may have expected me to mention performance or handling or something related to that. I don't think those things are necessarily the best reasons for owning a Skyline. They're great, but in stock form, certainly, as they come out of the factory, they're not actually that fast. Even the GTRs, can't claim to have driven one, but from what I hear from reputable sources, they're very underwhelming out of the factory. And that brings us very neatly onto our next point, which is tunability. I think that's a word. I'm not sure. Might have to look that one up. But you know what I mean by it anyway. So without further ado, let's get moving, and I'll catch up with you guys to talk about tunability when we get on the road. Right, so we're in the car, and I should probably take these down. You like my JDM air freshener? Plus 10 horsepower, that is. Right, one sec. Right, that's better. We can see properly now. So first things first, obviously, let's get the car started. All right, let's make a move. So, tunability. This is definitely a major point as to why these cars were so popular in the late 90s, early 2000s, and why they're still very popular today. Because the RB25 and RB26, I'm not 100% sure about the 20, so the RB20, so I'm not going to quote that, but the 25 and the 26, they, from factory, make very good power, or have the potential to make very good power, should I say. So there's reports of people pushing 500, 550 brake horsepower out of an RB25 with standard internals. I think the only real modifications you need to make are things like head studs and probably a slightly stronger head gasket. 26s are a bit stronger, slightly stronger internals and whatever, because they're obviously built for twin turbo GTR platform. So yeah, even the cheaper GTTs, bigger turbo injectors, fuel system, etc., you can get around 500 horsepower at the crank, which is pretty impressive, not only for late 90s, early 2000s, but for today as well. That's there's not that many engines around that you can get 500 horsepower out of the box with a few mods. So that's part of the reason they were so popular. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about my build, because we're focusing on the exterior at the moment, which I'll get into a bit later on in this video, about what the plans are for the car and so on. So I think that about covers tunability. you know, this isn't going to be a video on how to get 500 horsepower out of your R34. I may do one of those in the future, but there's plenty of those on YouTube anyway, so if that's what you're interested in, I'm sure you can find that somewhere on YouTube. But yeah, this is just my reasons as to why I actually love this car, and why everyone should own one at some point, because it is truly stunning. So that just about covers tunability. Let's moving on to the my fourth favourite reason for owning a Nissan Skyline, and that is quite simply the iconicness. Again, I'm not sure if that's a word. Iconicness or cult status of these cars, particularly the R34, although obviously it does sort of apply to the others as well, but just because of what they are. There was a massive stretch of open road and I could not resist. Hopefully that came out on camera. Sort of hopping back to the sound point I made earlier, but I mean, yeah, listen to that. Jesus, that's wow. So, got slightly distracted there. Moving on to the cold status of these cars. Obviously, everybody knows the main association with these cars is Fast and Furious. Particularly Too Fast, Too Furious, where Brian turns up in his R34 GTR and so on. But yeah, I think that's had a massive impact on how popular these cars are, and particularly the values of them and so on. People just want them, and people just like them. It's weird because, like, as you guys may or may not know, I've got an Evo 8 as well. Great car, you know, absolutely love it, but it gets nowhere near as much attention as this does. And this isn't even a GTR. And people just come up and talk to you about the car, or want to talk to you about the car, and it's not something I've ever really experienced. I got it a little bit with the Evo, because I had that before this, or bought that before this, but yeah, like, people just love it. And I think even the thing that struck me, which I didn't really realise before buying the car, was, you know, younger kids, like, you know, kids that are like 12, 13 or whatever, were either very young or not actually born when Too Fast, Too Furious came out, still love the car and still want to talk about it and take pictures of it. These cars are made to be shared now, you know, as they are becoming rarer and rarer, and values of them are going up and so on. So I think people want to see these cars on the road, but they're made to be driven, these cars, and they're made to be shared. So take them out to shows when obviously all there's a cow in the road. There's a cow in the middle of the road. I'm on Dartmoor. He's just walking across the middle of the road. There we go. He doesn't want to have any of it. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. The microphone's fallen off. That was a bit of a fail. I picked the phone up and the microphone fell off, so just had to pull over. Let's carry on. Bloody cow ruining my video. Outrageous. Yeah, so if you've got one of these cars, you know, just get out and drive it. They're made to be, you know, they should be shared and appreciated by all people. And that's what I'm trying to do with this one. So, you know it's only GTT, but I love it, and I want to share it with you guys. So if there's anything you want to see on the car, you know, if there's any info you want me to do a video on the spec, or, you know, anything else, just let me know down in the comments below, because the whole point of Project Race Car is for us to share the cars that we have with you guys. So please don't just build it for 1,000 horsepower, because that's been done, right? Who wants to build a Skyline for 1,000 horsepower? Like Adam LZ is already doing that. We want to do something a bit different. And that brings us very neatly onto my next point, which is it's not a boring point, but I think it's quite interesting and different as a reason for perhaps owning a car. So I'm going to tag it, or title it, as appreciation. But by that I don't mean what I just spoke about a minute ago, people coming up to you and appreciating the car and so on. What I mean is financial appreciation. So, as you know, these cars are very popular, very sought after, and reasonably rare, at least in the UK. So, you know, people want them, and that keeps the prices high, which is good. Well, depending on when you buy in, is good. So really, I've actually bought in quite late. So I bought this car in February of this year, which is 2020 if you're watching at a later date. And I remember I was looking about 5 years ago, I think, when I was looking to buy my Evo. I was debating whether to get an Evo or an R34 GTT. So yeah, I probably paid more for this car than, well, I definitely paid more for this car than I would have done 5 years ago. I remember I was looking and they were around 8 to 10,000, I think, from memory. And for this car in February, I paid just over £16,000. So you could see that, you know, they almost doubled. But yeah, almost doubled. That's crazy. Like, so a huge factor in this, which I'm not going to go to in massive detail, is the fact of the import laws in the United States. So some of you may already know about this. I'm not going to go into it in massive detail, but in the States, you can only import a foreign car 25 years after its first registration date, unless you go through a conversion process of some kind, making it road legal. So that, because of, you know, the population of America and how popular the cars are, does actually play quite a big part into the price of the cars across Europe and Japan as well. So, for example, again, don't quote me on how many years ago it was, but say 10 years ago, for argument's sake, an R32 GTR would have sent you back about £6,000, roughly. Now, in the UK, to get one, you're looking, or even get one imported from Japan, you're looking at around £25,000 to £30,000. And that is primarily because they are now legal in the United States. So they can be imported and driven legally. So that spike was largely down to that. Anyway, I've probably waffled on a bit too much about money and finance and stuff. It's something I find quite interesting, so hopefully you do as well. And if you did, thank you for staying this far in the video, because it's a bit of a talky one. But more than anything, I just wanted to get the Skyline back on the channel, because Ollie's been absolutely smashing out content with these Evo, which is brilliant, because he's well on the way with that build, which is awesome news, and it's on the way to being finished, which is great. But the Skyline's been taking a bit of a backseat, rightly so, for Ollie's Evo. So I thought it'd be a good idea to update you guys on what's going on with it. And what the plans are going forward. So unfortunately, over the last few months, I've been spending a bit of money on my Evo, which I'll talk about in another video, which will probably come out after this one. So yeah, I'll go over that in another video, because there's quite a lot of info about that. But yeah, so onto the Skyline build. It's back underway. So yesterday, I ordered some bits for the car for the first time in a little while, which is good news. So we're still focusing on the exterior and aesthetics of the car to start with. I want to get the car looking spot on, and then we'll look at some other things under the bonnet and whatever. So the things that I've ordered are a rear diffuser for the back of the car. I'm not going to show you or tell you what diffuser I've gone with, because again, we'll do an installation video of that and clickbait the hell out of it, obviously, as YouTubers do. So stay tuned for that one. And I've also ordered some paint, which may lead you to think I'm going to be respraying the car. That's not the case. The car is staying white. I personally think, perhaps with the exception of Bayside Blue, it's the best colour for this car. Given the fact that it's not a special, you know, it's not a GTR V-spec or anything like that, I think, you know, I could have the option to paint it like midnight purple or something, but it wouldn't quite feel right. I'm quite a traditionalist when it comes to modifying cars. You know, I like keeping things not stock, but I think OEM Plus is the best phrase we can use for it. So the paint is not for the car, as I mentioned. It's for little bits and pieces around the car, like brake calipers, you know, the rocker cover, some other bits under the bonnet, and so on. So, however, I'm very excited because the paint I've bought is really quite special. I'm super excited to show you guys what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be painting, and obviously painting it as well, bringing you guys along for the ride for that, because yeah, it's going to be sick, and I'm super excited to get back modifying the car again, more than anything. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap up the video there, guys, but before we go, one more quick pull. How about that, eh? Right, yeah, so I'm going to end the video there, guys. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, it's much appreciated. I'm just driving across Dartmoor now, so I'm going to head on home. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because, as I said, there's plenty more coming on this car, video coming on the Evo, or my Evo as well, and a few more videos coming on Ollie's Evo towards the end of his build. So if you haven't checked that out, go and click the link, because that's pretty special. But yeah, thank you for watching. Check us out on Instagram, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys.